All right, so listen up really quickly. Listen up really quickly before we go move on. The test tomorrow, the review that you have is a great review for the test that occurs tomorrow. It's a great review for the test tomorrow. Now here's the thing. Do not walk out of here today not understanding the review question. A lot of times when I'm going through the review, y'all are like, yeah, I got it, yeah, I got it, yeah, I got it, yeah, I got it. Can't do that if you don't get it, okay? Anything that's on the review is available on the test. And we made the review and the test, so I'm just saying, make sure you understand it completely, okay? Tomorrow's your last test in Unit 9. We start Unit 10 on Thursday. Do Unit 10 on Thursday and Friday. Remember, the retest for Unit 9 is on Thursday after school. The retest for Unit 9 is on Thursday after school. What else? I guess that's about it. I just want to make sure that as we're going through the things today, that you listen. If I was you, I would be taking notes on your review. Don't just write the answer. You're going to write the answer. You're going to get home in 6 hours or 8 hours or whenever you decide to look at it. You're going to have no idea how you got there. It's going to help you in no way if you just write the right answer. Write the note. Write the process. Give yourself a note. So all you have to do is look over this document tonight. If you walk in here without studying tomorrow, I'm here to tell you, it will not be a good thing for you. I've given this test for 4 years now, okay? Those of you that think you have it, I would spend 20 or 30 minutes tonight looking over your material. If you get to a concept that you're not certain about, watch the video. That video process is the best way to review. Like if you're like, I can't remember what the discriminant is, watch the discriminant video. It's a YouTube thing, so you can just basically scroll forward, listen to the 5 or 6 minutes of important stuff, and then just turn it back off again. But you'll find that the videos are more effective now after you've completed the unit than they were whenever you first heard them, because you know more about it now. You're more familiar with it now. Okay? Any questions on all that fun stuff? All right, so let's go through the warm-up. When we're done with the warm-up, I'll give you 8 or 10 minutes to go through the review keys. And then we'll go question by question down through the review. It says, solve each quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. Provide your answers in simplest radical form and round it to the nearest hundredth. And the reason I wrote it both ways is because a lot of times on a test, you don't know which way they want you to give your answer until you look at the answer choices. Sometimes the answer choices will be in decimal form. Sometimes they'll be in radical form. So you really have to be able to do both. Remember, the quadratic formula, which you do not have to memorize, it's on your answer sheet, it's on your formula sheet, is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2 times a. And if you haven't figured it out yet, it's basically the vertex formula and the discriminant formula all put together in one formula. That's what the quadratic formula is. So the first thing you should do is rewrite it, pull out every variable, and put in open parentheses. So you end up with negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. And then it's simply plugging in the value for each. So in this case, a is 2, b is 1, and c is negative 14. So it's negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. Any questions on how I got there? Now, clean it up. It's negative 1 plus or minus the square root of something over 4, and the something is purely a calculator function. Don't try to do mental math on this kind of thing. So let's see, second quit, clear. So you end up, use your parentheses, squared, minus 4 to negative 14, 113. That's what you get. The only thing you now have to do is find out if your radical can be broken down into a more simplified radical. 113 cannot. 4 doesn't go in, 9 doesn't go in, 16 doesn't go in, 25 doesn't go in, 36 doesn't go in. This is your answer in simplest radical form. You are done. You're done. As a decimal, remember you type in negative 1 plus the square root of 113. You hit enter, and then you do divided by 4, and you hit enter again, which gives you 2.41. And then you do -1 minus the square root of 113, enter, divided by 4, enter, and it gives you -2.91. Those are your answers in decimal form, I think, unless I'm wrong. Any questions on that? You have to do it the way they tell you to do it. I need you to be able to find both. Guys, if all you can do is get to radical form, you'll miss 2 or 3 on the test. If all you can do is get to decimal form, you'll miss 2 or 3 on the test. You have to be able to get to both radical form and decimal form. Brandon. Yes. Yeah, once you get it in radical form, it's just calculator after that. It's plus, you would do -1 plus the square root of 113, enter, divided by 4, and hit enter again. There's your number. Okay? What does that mean about these? They're your x-intercepts. They are where this quadratic crosses the x-axis. So if you wanted to plug it into y equals and hit graph, you should see that it crosses at about 2.5 and about -3. Does it not? I need to hold. Well, what division? Did you just? Guys, if you don't hit enter after square root, it's going to be wrong. That's why I say it over and over, over and over. Okay? What I was getting at, what I'm saying is if you enter this into y equals 2x squared plus x minus 14, and you hit graph, it should be a quadratic that crosses where you say it crosses. Okay? Any questions on that? Everybody good on quadratic formula? Okay? Solve each quadratic by completing the square. I wanted to spend a little bit more time on this than the quadratic formula because some of you have trouble with completing the square. So let's talk about the processes for completing the square. The first thing you do is you pick up whatever your C value is and you move it to the other side of the equal sign algebraically. So basically what you're doing is you're subtracting 33 from both sides. That gives you x squared plus 22x, you leave a blank, equals -33. You move the C value over. Now we are going to make a perfect square trinomial on the left. And there was a method to that. You might remember what the method is? Half the b, Scarlett, and then what? Half the b value squared. What is half of positive 22? 11. Now, I'll tell you right now, you're going to use the 11 because it better end up here if you do it right. So half of b is 11. 11 squared is 121. So you add 121 to both sides. You have to add it to both sides. That keeps your equation equal. So then you end up with -33 plus 121, and that's 88. So this is the same as this if you did it right. Now it's easier to solve because all you have to do is take the square root of both sides. The square root of x plus 1 squared is simply x plus 1. The square root of 88 can be simplified. Oh yeah, my bad. X plus 11. But the square root of 88 can be split. The square root of 88 splits into a good square root, bad square root. It's 4 and 22, actually. Okay? 4 and 22, because 22 is, there's no larger good square root that goes into 88. So it actually becomes 2 root 22. Remember, I want it to be positive or negative. I want it to be positive or negative. Now the last step is to subtract 11 from both sides. I want that subtracting 11 to go in the front. So your final answer is x equals -11 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 22. because that's not the way I want it, nor is it the way you'll see it on a test. You will always see the constant out front. You'll always see the constant out front. Okay? So let's try this one yourself. Now that you remember and you have something to use, let's go through this. What's the first thing we do? We subtract 1 from both sides. That gives us x squared minus 10x, big O blank, equals negative 1. Not negative 25. What's half of negative 10? Negative 5. So theoretically, you can go ahead and just write that like this. What's negative 5 squared? Positive 25. So you are adding 25 to both sides. That gives you this. Square root, x minus 5. This splits into plus or minus 2 root 6. If you're not sure, square root of 24 becomes the square root of 4, square root of 6. The square root of 4 becomes 2, so it's 2 root 6. And then your final step is simply to add 5 to both sides. Remember, I want the 5 in the front, so it's x equals 5 plus or minus 2 root 6. By the way, this is where it crosses the x-axis. If you were to type in 5 plus 2 times the square root of 6 and hit enter, and then 5 minus 2 times the square root of 6 and hit enter, it'll give you 2 numbers. That's where that quadratic crosses the x-axis. That's how you're solving that quadratic. Okay? You have to know how to complete the square. Have to. Any questions? All right, so here's what I want to do. Let's go about 6 minutes. Pause the recording. We're going to go about 6 minutes. I want you to look over the answer keys. Work with your... 1 or 2? I might need to see both. That is not a good start. Okay, so here we go. On a table, how do we tell where the solutions are on a table? What? Where y is 0. You said x, I heard you. I said on a table. Grace, let's say it with me. Okay, so I almost called you Grayson. I don't know why I did that. Okay, so on a table, the solutions are where the y value is 0. Where is it on a graph? For the x-intercept. So all you have to do is plug this into y equals and hit table or graph. Now, if you hit, if you plug it in and you hit, hold, so let's type in negative x squared plus minus x plus 3, and you go to the table, here's what you see. Ooh. What the crap just, sorry, hold. Kennedy's calculator sucks. Minus x plus 3, second table. Okay, so look.
You are not feathered.
Okay. He's from the south. Negative 3, 1, 3, 3. Okay, now watch. Here's very important. Because if you see the y value being 0, that's an easy thing. In this case, you don't. But where on this table does the y value become 0? Somewhere between here and here. Because if it goes from negative 3 to positive 1, it crosses the 0. Therefore, you know that the solution, because they want the x value, is between negative 2 and negative 3. It has to be. Right? And then you look for the other where the 0 should be, and that'll give you the other 2 x values. You could have also have hit graph and just seen where it crosses the x-axis. It's going to be between 2 integers. That's how you find it. Questions on that? It means it doesn't make you find it. You just have to say it's between this number and this number. It means if you tried to solve that, you wasted a whole lot of time. Because all it wanted was what is it between. Okay? Don't do more work than is necessary. Read the question, understand what they're asking you for, and then do that. Okay? So let's talk about this other thing. In a real life situation, in a real life quadratic situation, you end up with something like this. every single time you end up with part of a parabola. All the other quadrants don't matter. There is a parabola that does this, right? It does that, but we don't care because those are negative values. Now, they're always going to ask you one of the same questions. They're either going to ask you, what's the highest point? When did it reach the highest point? How long did it jump? Blah, 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 blah. What you have to do is look at the equation and tell which guy is the x and which one's the y. What's the y in this situation? H. That means the y is height, and the x is d, so that's probably distance. And then it's just a matter of finding what you need. When it says what is the maximum height, the minute you see the word maximum, what are they asking you to find? They're asking you to find the vertex. Now you just have to determine when you find that vertex, are they asking you for the x or the y of the vertex? They said maximum height. They're asking you for the y value of the vertex. That's it. And remember, to find the vertex, you plug it into your calculator, you look in the table, you try to find symmetry. If you don't find symmetry, what do you do? Negative b over 2 times a. Every time. Make sense, Spence? Okay. How far did the dolphin jump? Well, yeah, on a calculator, though, you're just looking for where the y value becomes 0. You're looking for that point. Just look at the table and find it. Okay? Make sense? Any questions on this? Second page. Trace or quattro? Okay, 3. Oh my gosh, y'all, we're going to run out of time, y'all. I ain't playing. Okay, because you know I had a key out. Did y'all read the key? You liar. Okay. Joe's rectangular garden. Once it says rectangle, draw one, is 6 meters long and 5 meters wide. He wishes to triple the area of his garden. What's his area right now? His area is 30. He wants to triple it, so he wants to make it 90. By adding the same amount to the length and width. By adding the same amount to the length and width. So, 6 plus x times 5 plus x equals 90. That's what he wants. Now it's a quadratic. You FOIL it, which gives you 30 plus 11x plus x squared equals 90. Oh, if you FOIL it, that's what you'll get. Okay. You put it in the right order. So x squared plus 11x. You go ahead and subtract 90 from both sides because we always want to make it equal to 0, which gives you minus 60 equals 0. You have a quadratic. Factor it, solve it, move on. Got it? Any questions? The next one, the square of a number is 72 greater than the number. X squared equals x plus 72. What's your first step? Huh? Move them all to one side. Remember, you want it always equal to 0. That means you subtract x, you subtract 72, so you end up with x squared minus x minus 72 equals 0. Now remember, when you're factoring, the first step should be to try to factor it. In that case, you're looking for what numbers multiply to get you negative 72 and add to get you negative 1. Once you find those numbers, in this case, it's like 9 and 8 and 9 and 8, but the 9 gets the negative. Make certain, guys, when you're selecting which one gets the negative, you pay attention to this one. Because it's the addition one that tells you which one gets the negative, right? The only way you get negative 1 is by negative 9 plus 8. Once you get negative 9 and 8, you get your factors, which are x minus 9, x plus 8 equal to 0. And then you solve it. X equals 9, x equals negative 8. Okay? Factoring and solving, factoring and solving, factoring and solving. That's what this entire test is about. 5, 6, 7, or 8. Okay, find the value of the function when x equals 1. Go to where x is 1. It's right here. Then you go up to the line. 5. They gave you the x, find the y. Now here's a question. What if it says if the function equals negative 7? What does that mean? Means the y value is negative 7. If they say the function equals something, that means the y value equals something. So the y value is negative 7 right here. So that would be at the x values of negative 5 and 3. Negative 5 and 3. Okay? Remember, they're either going to give you the x and have you find the y. They're going to give you the y and have you find the x. They may mask giving you the y by saying the function equals 3. If they say the function equals 3, they're just telling you the y value is 3. Okay? Any questions on that? All right. 9, 10, 11, and 12. Really? Oh, you ruined it. Gosh! Sorry. Okay. So, okay. How many zeros does it have? We need to solve it. Your first shot should be to try to solve it by factoring. But see how 5 times 3 is 15? Can you find two numbers that add to 15, and that multiply to 15 and add to negative 1? You cannot. Dylan? Oh, that's a very good point, Dylan. Because it's only asking how many zeros. Well done, sir. How does the discriminant tell us how many zeros there are? What's the rule? Leslie. Okay. And? Yeah, so we just do b squared minus 4ac. b is negative 1 squared minus 4 times a times c. So negative 1 squared is 1 minus 60. Ew. I think that's a negative number. So there are no zeros. There are no zeros because my discriminant is negative. If I did it right. Did I do it right? Okay. Okay. Sorry. Good point, Dylan, really. I didn't even catch that one. And that, by the way, that brings up a really good point that make sure you read the question, because I would have, honestly, I was about to solve that thing. And I would have wasted 4 or 5 minutes on a test doing that when I didn't need to. Same thing with you guys. Instead of rushing through the test, make sure you read the question, you understand what it is that they're asking you for. A lot of times you don't have to do a ton of work. Just like that estimating the between things, you just punch them in the calculator and look. Okay? 13 or 14? Looks like warm up. No. Anybody need to see 13 or 14? 15, 16, 17, 15, right? Okay. Wait, really? Okay. Axis of symmetry. If the vertex is 3, negative 5, so there's the vertex, and one root is 8, which is like right here, you just measure the distance from here to here and apply that same thing there, and you get to the other root. It's just about symmetry, okay? 18, 19, or 20. 18's what? Yeah, 18's just like 15. 19 or 20? By the way, I want to make a real quick point. If you look at like 19, the first thing you need to do is pull the GCF out. It makes the numbers smaller because they're all even. Like right off the bat, because I've seen it a lot, I have 2, 22, and 56. They're all even. I know I can pull 2 out and just make it x squared minus 11x plus 28. And then I can just factor that. GCF first. Do you understand? Mohammed, what's wrong? Okay, 28 times 1. I need two numbers that when multiplied get you 28, and when added get you negative 11. It's negative 7 and negative 4.
So you do the same thing, so you get the 2 down.
Yeah. And the 2 has nothing to do with the solutions. What you end up with is 2 times x minus 7, x minus 4 equals 0. The zero product property says this makes it 0, and this makes it 0. Done. But I will tell you, it's easier for me to factor this than this. just faster. Okay? Any other questions on that? On 21, I'm doing no matter what. So just listen. I want you to stop writing. I want you to watch. When algebraically it talks about two consecutive integers, I need you to memorize that two consecutive integers is that. Always. Two consecutive even or odd integers is written like this and this. Because if you're doing consecutive even or odds, you're skipping one each time. Consecutive integers, you're just adding one to get to the next one. This is how you always write two consecutive even or odd integers. This is how you write two consecutive integers. Memorize that. It's not going away anytime soon, even when you get into Algebra 2. So when it says the product of two consecutive positive even integers, the product of x and x plus 2, two consecutive positive even integers, is 98 more than their sum. So x plus 2. And when you clean this up, you end up with x squared plus 2x, which is just distributing that, equals, what's 98 plus x plus 2? What's x plus x? 2x, 98 plus 2 is 100, so you end up with 2x plus 100. That's your cleaned up version. You subtract 2x from both sides, and you just end up with this. That's easy. Oh my God. Square root, x equals positive or negative 10, but there's a problem. It said positive. Therefore, negative 10 is not an option. Only positive 10 is your option, and it wants both integers. Well, if positive 10 is your first even integer, what's your next one? 12. That's your answer. Got it? Just memorize this, guys. This, crazy important. Okay? Y'all are pretty good on 22, 23? Okay. Yes, because it asks for both. By the way, one other quick thing. If they ask you to find, they give you one of those geometry rectangle problems, right? And they say, find the length and the width. Find the length and the width. Okay? Here's what I would suggest, and then we'll break it up and chill for the rest of the time. Look over the review, watch the video. What I just did, this recording, is what I'm going to go ahead and post to the website. Okay? Because we've kind of covered a whole lot of stuff. If you need to watch it again, watch it again. Do not walk in here cold tomorrow, or I will slap you around on that test. I'm not kidding. But if you'll study the review, you'll do just fine. Good to go? All right. Y'all are done. Thank you, guys.